Every December 25, billions of Christians all over the world celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. But was Jesus really born on this day, or is it just a clever rewrite of history? What if we've all been deceived all our lives? The answer might surprise you. In this video, we will uncover many secrets, controversies, and hidden stories about the birthday of Jesus Christ. The Bible doesn't give away any calendar dates regarding Jesus' birth. Think about it. Matthew and Luke, the Gospels that go into the most detail about nativity, talk about shepherds under the stars, a Roman census, and a trek to Bethlehem. But there's not a single mention of a specific day, or even a season. So why December 25? To find the answer, remember the 4th century, when the Roman Empire was shaking things up. Christianity had just been legalized under Emperor Constantine, and it was rising fast, transitioning from underground gatherings to state-sponsored churches. Here's where things get interesting. Scholars believe December 25 wasn't randomly chosen. It was a strategic move. The date lined up with existing Roman traditions like the festival of Sol Invictus or the unconquered sun. Celebrated around the winter solstice, it marked the return of longer days and the triumph of light over darkness. That symbolism? It was a perfect fit for Jesus, often called the light of the world. Then there was Saturnalia, another December blowout in ancient Rome. This festival was all about feasting, gift-giving, and general partying. Early Christians, in a stroke of genius, began to position Jesus' birth alongside these festivals. The idea wasn't to copy pagan celebrations, but to reinterpret them. They wanted to steer people toward Christ, while still connecting with the cultural vibes of the time. By the time the Roman Empire formally adopted Christianity under Emperor Constantine in the 4th century, December 25 was already gaining traction as a significant date in the Christian calendar. As mentioned earlier, Constantine played a key role in standardizing this celebration, particularly as he sought to unify his empire under the banner of Christianity. But this transition was with resistance. Many regions clung to their existing dates to celebrate Christ's birth. For example, parts of the Eastern Christian world honored January 6 as the primary date for commemorating Jesus' birth and baptism. This division persisted for centuries, with some communities even today recognizing different dates for Christmas. The establishment of December 25 wasn't simply about calendar alignment. It was a powerful tool for cultural integration. By consolidating a single date, the Church reinforced its authority and provided a unified framework for worship across diverse regions. Despite its widespread acceptance today, the association of December 25 with Jesus' birth took time and effort. Early Christians didn't prioritize celebrating birthdays. Instead, they focused on events like Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, which were central to their faith. The first recorded reference to December 25 as Jesus' birthday appears in a Roman document from 336 AD. Even then, the date was only sometimes embraced. For example, in the Eastern Orthodox Church, January 6, known as Epiphany, was celebrated as the day of Jesus' birth and baptism. Why the discrepancy? Some theologians argue that the early church was more concerned with theological symbolism than historical accuracy. The date of December 25 may have been less about pinpointing the exact day of Jesus' birth, and more about aligning his arrival with the broader themes of light, hope, and renewal. One compelling reason for December 25 is its connection to theology and symbolism. Early Christian writers like Hippolytus of Rome attempted to calculate the date of Jesus' conception, which they believed occurred on March 25. The date associated with the Annunciation, adding 9 months to March 25, leads us to December 25. This approach was based on something other than historical evidence, but on a symbolic connection between creation and redemption. March 25, the spring equinox in the Julian calendar, was seen as the day God began creation. By placing Jesus' conception on this date, early Christians tied his arrival to the idea of a new creation, with December 25 marking the fulfillment of that promise. Similarly, the imagery of light played a central role. The winter solstice signified the return of longer days and the triumph of light over darkness. For early Christians, this was a fitting metaphor for Christ, whose birth brought spiritual light into the world. Now, let's dive into the Bible itself. Does it offer any solid clues about whether Jesus was born in December? Well, kind of, but nothing conclusive. Take the famous scene from Luke's Gospel, shepherds watching their flocks at night. It's a beautiful image, but it raises some questions. Skeptics point out that Bethlehem winters are cold, too cold, they argue, for shepherds to be outdoors with their sheep. That detail had led many to suggest that Jesus' birth probably happened in the spring or summer, when the weather was milder. and grazing flocks were more common. But hold up, there's another side to this story. Some historians argue that shepherds tending temple sheep used for sacrifices in Jerusalem often grazed their flocks year-round, even in winter. So while it might seem unlikely, the shepherds can have been out in December. Then, there's the Roman census mentioned in Luke's account. This event brought Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem in the first place. Critics say a winter census needs to make more sense. After all, why would the Roman government force people to travel in potentially harsh weather? But here's the twist. Historical records of Roman censuses are spotty at best. We don't know enough about how or when they were conducted to rule out December entirely. So, what does all this mean? The Bible gives us intriguing details but not a definitive timeline. It's like a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving room for interpretation and debate. Whether you lean toward December, spring, or some other time of year, one thing's for sure, this story has kept people talking for centuries. Let's address one of the most talked about theories. December 25 was selected to Christianize existing pagan festivals. At first glance, it seems strategic. By aligning Jesus' birth with celebrations like Sol Invictus, the Church could offer a Christian alternative to a wildly popular pagan holiday. Sol Invictus, or the Unconquered Sun, was a Roman festival celebrating the winter solstice, the turning point when days start getting longer. Pairing this with the birth of Jesus, often called the light of the world, seemed like a perfect match. It wasn't about replacing the old, but reframing it. Now, here's where the debate heats up. Critics of this theory argue that early Christians weren't just borrowing pagan traditions. They were reinterpreting them with a bold theological statement. The sun might light up the day, but Jesus is the true eternal light that illuminates the soul. This wasn't about mimicry, it was about transformation. And let's remember the practical side of this move. By placing Jesus' birth on December 25, the Church made integrating Christianity into Roman culture easier. It wasn't a bait and switch, it was a cultural bridge. Aligning a new Christian celebration with a familiar festival helped attract converts while gradually steering traditions toward a Christ-centered focus. Interestingly, this overlap also helped facilitate the spread of Christianity. By aligning Jesus' birth with widely celebrated festivals, the Church could attract converts while gradually shifting cultural practices toward Christian beliefs. For many Christians, the specific date of Jesus' birth is secondary to the message it represents. December is a focal point for celebrating Jesus' arrival, regardless of whether it aligns with historical fact. Tradition plays a powerful role in shaping religious practices. Over centuries, the Church has woven a rich tapestry of rituals, hymns, and liturgies around the Christmas story, creating a sense of continuity and community. These traditions provide a framework for faith, even if the historical details remain uncertain. In this sense, the celebration of Christmas transcends questions of accuracy. It's less about pinpointing the exact date of Jesus' birth and more about honoring the spiritual truths embodied in the nativity story. Today, debates about the origins of December 25 often spark controversy, particularly among those who view the holiday as overly commercialized or disconnected from its religious roots. Some critics argue that the emphasis on gift-giving and festive decorations has overshadowed Christmas's spiritual significance. Others point to the holiday's pagan influences as evidence that it lacks authenticity. However, these criticisms overlook the adaptability of religious traditions. Christmas has always been a dynamic celebration, evolving to meet the needs of different cultures and eras. Its ability to incorporate diverse elements while maintaining its core message of hope and redemption is a testament to its enduring relevance. At the heart of this discussion lies a simple truth. The exact date of Jesus' birth may never be known, but its significance remains undiminished. For Christians, the nativity story is a reminder of God's love and the promise of salvation. This message transcends time and place, whether celebrated on December 25, January 6, or another date entirely. The birth of Jesus continues to inspire faith and bring people together. It's a moment to reflect on the themes of light, renewal, and hope that resonate across cultures and centuries. And ultimately, isn't that what Christmas is all about? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.